The Crystal of the Magic Cave. Aliyah was the first to jump out of bed that morning. Her mum and dad were still fast asleep in their bed. But Aliyah had had a dream, and it had woken her up. Everything she had dreamed seemed so real to her. She quietly got dressed, sat down at her little table, and drew the picture she remembered from her dream. She was good at drawing, at least she thought so, and she was really good at it. Aliyah didn't notice that her mum had been awake for a while and was looking over her shoulder as she drew. "That's beautiful. Where is it?" her mum asked. "It's in the magic cave, and there's a crystal back there around the corner. I have to get it," Aliyah replied, as if it were the most natural thing in the world, as if she were about to take the tram and go to the magic cave. "But first, let's have some breakfast, okay?" Only now did Aliyah realize how hungry she actually was. So it didn't take much persuasion, and she sat at the breakfast table in the kitchen, where there were fresh poppy seed rolls and her favorite jam. She drank a cup of hot chocolate with it. Her mum snapped her out of her thoughts. "Do you know where this magic cave is?" "Yes, of course, in a mountain called Cake District." "You probably mean Lake District, but there are many mountains there." "When I see it, I'll know exactly if it's the one." Aliyah was quite sure. She still had her dream in her mind. Finally, her dad came out of the bathroom and sat down at the table. "The Lake District, I see," he said, and got up again. He had lots of books in his study, and now he came back with one. "Look, all the mountains in the Lake District are shown here. Dad, can you read the names of the mountains to me?" "My goodness, there are so many names." Aliyah's dad was quite astonished. "Scaffell Pike, Helvellyn, Skiddaw, Great Gable, and Cat Bells." "Cat Bells? That's a strange name for a mountain." Aliyah had to laugh. "Do the cats wear bells there, Dad?" Her father laughed and continued reading the rest of the list. "I don't think so. But listen, there are many more. Blencathra, Langdale Pikes, Glaramara, Pillar, Grassmore, Haystacks, Buttermere Fell, Silver Howe, and the Old Man of Coniston." "The Old Man? Do you have a picture of that mountain, Dad?" "Yes, of course. Look, this is what the mountain looks like. It's more of a hill." Aliyah looked at the picture for a long time. "That must be it." "Yes. And what about this mountain? Or hill? There are many others there. Don't you want to hear more?" "No, Papa. I'm quite sure there must be a magic cave there, the cave I dreamed about." Aliyah's dad looked at Aliyah's mum. "What are we to make of this? Our 5-year-old dreams of caves in the Lake District Mountains, and even magical caves." But Aliyah was unstoppable. "Is it far away, Dad?" "I don't know, but I can look it up on the computer." Dad went into the office and came back soon. "Well, it's 95 miles from here, so the drive would take about an hour and a half." "Dad, are we going there?" Aliyah was gripped by the idea, and her enthusiasm swept the whole family along with her. "Let me tell you about my dream. It went like this. Once upon a time, there was an old man who lived in a cave, a lonely termite or something like that, who had many friends among the animals of the forest. And because he was always there to help the animals when they were looking for food or had got caught in thorns, one day the animals gave him a gift. It was a crystal. This crystal transformed the hermit's cave into a magical cave so that no one could find the entrance unless they had dreamed of the cave, just like me. The old man died at some point, and the crystal with its magical powers remained in the cave. Look, Dad, there's the cave, and the crystal is still there today, just around the corner." Aliyah showed her dad the drawing she had made that morning. Her dad was quite astonished. Her dad took heart. "You know what, Aliyah, it's the weekend, so why not? Come on, let's drive to that mountain and see what Aliyah's dream is all about. Who knows, maybe we'll actually find this cave." Aliyah's mum was astonished, because Aliyah's dad wasn't usually so easily enthusiastic about any of Aliyah's crazy ideas. "Well, I didn't expect to have another adventure this weekend. Everyone into the bathroom, everyone get dressed, and we'll be ready to go in half an hour," were the brief orders. But Mum laughed and was naturally looking forward to the trip. Just to be on the safe side, she packed rubber boots and a few torches for everyone. You never know. Later, they sat in the car, and Aliyah held her drawing tightly in her hands so as not to forget anything about her dream. After all, she had dreamed of the cave and its enchanted entrance. The weather was beautiful, but there was not a soul to be seen on the small mountain. People tended to hike in the higher areas where there were many restaurants, but Aliyah's mum had prepared a large basket so that they could have a nice picnic wherever they wanted. But first, Aliyah's dad and mum wanted to help their little Aliyah find the magic cave. Aliyah led the way, turning sometimes to the right, sometimes to the left, as if she had already been here before. She seemed to be quite sure of herself. She looked up at the sky, at the other mountains, at the forest, then back at her drawing, and trudged bravely onward. There, it must be over there by the little stream. Aliyah pointed in one direction. Soon they could hear the stream babbling, and then they were standing on its bank. We have to cross. Look, there are stepping stones. Aliyah pointed a little further to the right at flat stones lying in the water, on which they could indeed cross the lively stream without any difficulty. Amazing, Aliyah, said her dad. The things you discover. So they all crossed to the other side of the stream with dry feet, and Aliyah led them back a short way. Here, on the bank, stood a large old tree, its roots growing down a slope, almost to the river. The entrance must be somewhere between these roots. Aliyah's dad searched with her for a while, but they found nothing. Don't be sad, child. There are no magic caves and no magic crystals. Those are all fairy tales. But Aliyah was quite sure. Her mum said, We've come this far, driven to the Lake District, found the mountain, and seem to be very close to the cave. Come on, let's take a break, sit down in the grass, and have our picnic. We can look around the area a bit. Who knows, maybe we'll discover something. Aliyah had to admit that she would have preferred to keep searching, but she was also very hungry. So the little family took a break. They had potato salad and cold roast meat, grapes, juice, cake, and many other delicacies. The smell of the good food seemed to interest a few animals as well. Soon, a squirrel was sitting nearby, and then a little further away, a small fox ventured a glance at the delicious food. Soon a magpie arrived, boldly venturing right up to the blanket with the food. Well, this is idyllic, said Aliyah's mum. Somehow, Aliyah's dad made a slightly hasty movement, and the animals were startled and fled. Look, Dad, where the fox is running. Aliyah pointed excitedly in the direction of the stream where they had been looking for the entrance between the roots of the old tree. The little fox had been there just a moment ago, then it was gone. That's impossible! Aliyah's dad jumped up. If I hadn't seen it myself! With quick steps, he returned to the spot where they had been looking for the entrance to the magic cave. Here, this is exactly where the fox suddenly disappeared. But there was only the embankment, at least 2.5 yards high. Solid earth between two mighty roots. At least, that's what it looked like. Aliyah had caught up with her dad. I'm going to do exactly what the fox did, she said, and simply followed the fox. Suddenly, Aliyah had disappeared too, but you could still hear her. Dad, are you coming? Yes, but where to? I can't see you. But I can still see you. Aliyah, give me your hand. Suddenly, Aliyah's hand and arm appeared from the slope. Her dad grabbed her hand and walked across the embankment to Aliyah in the cave. That's impossible. It can't be real. It would be a kind of hologram. Dad, what's a hologram? Never mind, I'll explain it to you later. Right now, we have to get back to Mum. And both took a step towards the opening and immediately found themselves back in front of the embankment. Aliyah's mum was already standing there, completely baffled. I saw you disappear, but I could still hear you. But Aliyah wasn't so surprised. She knew that it was a magic cave. "Come on, we have to see if the crystal is still there. Here's my drawing." Now the three of them dared to step through the embankment. But first, Mum quickly fetched the torches. Sure enough, after a few steps, they found themselves in the middle of a cave. The torches lit up the cave, but then they turned them off. They weren't really necessary, because there was some light coming from somewhere and you could actually see quite well. "Look, Mum, look, Dad. Here's my picture of the cave, just as I dreamed it." Indeed, the picture and the cave had certain similarities. Alia pulled her parents further into the mountain. At the back of the cave, there was a corner where you could see a long-abandoned human camp. There was even a kind of bedside table next to the bed. And on the bedside table, in a wooden bowl, lay the crystal. It was exactly as Alia had dreamed it would be. Alia reached for the crystal, and it immediately began to glow dimly. "It seems to be happy that it is no longer alone," Alia explained to her parents. They looked around the cave for a while longer. Then Alia's father said, "This cave will remain our secret. Maybe we'll come back again. At first glance, though, I can't see anything else here that would be worth taking with us. Let's go back outside. Just a moment. There must be a little book here somewhere." And in a compartment of the roughly assembled bedside table, Alia did indeed find an old, yellowed notebook. "Right, now we can go." Dad led the way, and Mum and Alia followed him hand in hand. Soon they were back in the sunlight, walking back to the blanket where they had been sitting before to process the surprise. Alia was about to sit down to look at the notebook when her father called out, "Look, the cave entrance is no longer invisible." And so it was. In the embankment between the roots, the entrance to the cave was clearly visible. "It must have something to do with the crystal," Alia's mummy thought. "Go back into the cave with the crystal. I want to see if the entrance disappears again." Alia went back, and sure enough, when she was back in the cave with the crystal in her hand, the embankment closed up again, and she and the entrance to the hiding place were no longer visible. "You can come out again, Alia," her dad called. "When the crystal is in the cave entrance remains invisible." Alia reappeared. "Then it really is a magic crystal?" "It certainly looks like it." "Alia, let me see the booklet. Maybe there's something about it in there." And so it was. There was something wondrous about this crystal. As Alia knew from her dream, the animals had given the stone to the hermit. Alia called him the termite, out of gratitude. It protected its owner in many ways. It allowed its owner to hide, and no one could see his hiding place. But that was not all. You can read all about it in the notebook. But the crystal changed the little family's life. Alia grew up and studied medicine, becoming a very well-known vet. People said she understood animals like no other person on earth, and Mum and Dad were very proud of their daughter. But they never visited the cave again. The entrance is now open, so perhaps you would like to go and see if the cave is still uninhabited. Maybe the foxes have moved in there now.